So if you were to draw a map of your life and put different pins onto that, which represent everything that you've done, from the jobs, experiences, courses you went to, internships, the first impression, at least on my life, it would look very, very chaotic. As I just said, I think only a few people know exactly from right in the beginning, when they're young or when they go to school, exactly what they want to do and where they want to end up. I remember when I went to school, there was a school in Germany, so there was a girl when you were about 15. She wanted to be a lawyer, study international law. I was in contact with her not too long ago. Approximately 20 years later, she is a lawyer, studied international law, and works exactly in the industry. I, back then, wanted to be a dance therapist and work with young people and improve, physical ability through dance. You don't find this on my CV now, so I went into an entirely different direction. A little bit about my life. I was born in Germany to Nigerian parents. I grew up in a really small town in the south of Germany called Freiburg. I had a really idyllic childhood, as many people do during my teenage year. I rebelled a little bit, was a little bit of a wild one. Did well at school, not exceptionally well, but I did well enough to go through, do my A-levels. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to kind of work in media, maybe become a journalist, but I knew for a fact that I wanted to leave that small town and live in a big city like London, Paris, New York, and enjoy kind of big city living and be there. In the past 20 years, sounds a long time, but it is and it isn't, but in the past 20 years, I've waited tables at a fish deli. I worked in a bookshop as a sales girl. I really love reading, so when I was at school, I worked in a bookshop as a part-time assistant. I did an apprenticeship in Germany as a publishing assistant. Then I moved to LA, where I did an internship in a magazine. Came back from LA and thought I had to leave, so I moved to London, where I studied journalism. I did a journalism degree. Then I worked as a market researcher during that time, making up to 50 cold calls a day to people about their eating habits, from which kind of sausages they eat for breakfast, etc. Did an internship at Untold magazine I think it was in the late 90s, then did an internship at Grazia. I worked for 3 years as a TV producer for a company. My ex-boss is in the audience, for a company called Urban Canyons, covering trends from London, Paris, New York. After that closed down, I couldn't find work, so I set up my own freelance business, working as a freelancer in PR and trend forecasting, because through that job I got a lot of ideas about trends and young people. I was then headhunted and hired by the biggest German publishing group, working as the UK fashion editor for a lot of German glossy magazines, Elle Germany, InStyle Germany, Elle Decoration, Bunte. So it was a quite tough job. And about 2.5 years ago, I gave everything up for my own business, to run my own interiors brand, which carries my name, Eva Sonaike. So if you look at the map of my life, it looks very chaotic. And I really thought about this before giving this talk to you. And is it actually chaotic? I don't think it's chaotic, but I think every bit I've done over the past 20 years feeds into what I'm doing now and who I am now, the way I work now, and everything contributes to my current position where I am. I'm sure it's the same for you. If you look at your own life, whether you're at uni studying, whether you're interning, whether you're your first job, whether you're struggling to find work, I think everything looks very complex, but it can all feed into who you are going to be later in hopefully the near future. If you look at my company, for example, now I mainly focus on interiors. I make cushions and bags. I really don't think it's random. I think everything I have experienced feeds into that. I used to work as a trend forecaster years ago when I was looking for work, and it was, I think, 2004, 2005, and I knew that an African trend is going to come up. It's going to be very, very strong in fashion and interiors. So that was kind of in the back of my head when I set up my business. I started it 3-4 years ago, and I think I was one of the first who really pushed it through in the luxury industry, and there we are right now. It's doing well. My upbringing, I'm of African descent, but I grew up in Europe, in Germany, so I think I'm combining all of the elements which I saw as a child, learned as a child, that all feeds into who I am today. as I told you earlier, I was working as a market researcher, and it wasn't really nice. I was doing it as a part-time job as a student, cold calling. Now I'm so grateful I did that job, because I now have to make sales calls to big department stores, from Selfridges in London to Barney's in New York. And I know I can pick up the phone and speak to them and pitch my company, my products to them. So I think it all feeds into one and the other things. I worked then as a PR consultant. I didn't know what to do, and I was quite good at selling things and talking to press about good products. That now feeds in majorly. I do Eva Sonaike. We get a lot of good press coverage, and also that's from, I think, Financial Times, How to Spend It. I mean, we've been on the cover of The Guardian, so we've got really, really good press. We're doing everything in-house. I'm quite strict about that. I'm not hiring anything out to a PR agency, because I know how to do it, and I've got a really small team, but I can direct them in exactly the way I want it to be done. I'm a mother of 2 little kids. My kids sometimes have to be put in front of the TV because I have to work, and it's really hard. Sometimes we have to say, I have to make these 3 calls. There's a program called Tinga Tale. I'm sure you don't watch CBeebies, but it's a program for little kids. That inspired my last collection. I looked at it and I thought, it's really nice. I really like the aesthetics. My latest collection is called Vintage Safari. So that all feeds into it. So it was really a journey, and it's still a journey. Everything I've done and everything I'm doing, I think, counts and feeds into one thing. I really believe that every experience you go through is very valuable, even the bad ones. I really learned from every job, as you've seen. If you're, let's say, a shelf stacker in Tesco, try to do it as well as you can do it. Look at the business. How is it set up? Where does the tuna you put in the shelf come from? If you're today, when I was young, or your age, when I was I'm still young, but when I was younger, let's say it like this, there were no blogs, there were no websites. Today you can have your own blog, you can put all your ideas out there, people may see it and pick it up. It's great opportunities. I've got a cleaner now. She is amazing, she's a brilliant cleaner. And I was always wondering when I came home, why did she arrange things? Why does it look better than if I put it away? Because she arranges it and she puts it somehow. And I spoke to her, and she studied interior design. So I did a big project. I think last summer we did a nursery project where we did interior design. And I said, do you want to work with me? And she's like, yes. And she's brilliant. So I think if you do well in what you're doing, I think it can lead to really great things.